So you look at the photo of China at any one time, a snapshot, there's a million problems. You look at the movie over 30 years, it's completely different. And you see the progress that's been made on certain fronts. We all wrestle with this paradox about, the sort of a state which at its core has a traditional Leninist structure which is presiding over this sort of, robber baron capitalism, or the early stages of capitalism, in which the state instrumentalities are full players and in fact far too powerful players. How something that looks, say, so chaotic can in fact be so fleet-footed. It's remarkably bureaucratic in a rigid fashion. China is bureaucratic but in a very flexible fashion. So in other words, they can screw you, but they can also unleash you.
When Hu Jintao took over, people said, well, the economy is in a crisis. They had a massive banking problem at the time. People said the party can't keep the economy growing at that rate, and yet they still managed to do it. And when Xi Jinping took over 18 months ago, he faced both of those accusations. People said that the economy is facing the same kind of financial problems. All these debts are mounting up. They simply can't keep it growing this fast. And politically, it seemed like there are all these pressures building up about the environment, this new middle class. He's facing all these challenges. So that everyone who betted against China in the last 20 years has lost a lot of money. But they still haven't, I think, squared the circle. They're still facing these existential challenges and these issues to deal with. And if you think of what China needs to do to go forward in this next era, so much it comes down to the individual and the role that the individual is going to play. That's the key in the economy. If you want to have an economy that's more based on private enterprise, on innovation, on creativity, the individual is going to have to be unleashed in a much more fundamental way than has happened before in the past. That's key in, China's obsessed about soft power and trying to present a much more attractive image to the world. If China really wants to sort of unleash the potential cultural power that it has, it's going to require much more the individual playing a much larger role. And it still faces this growing, rapidly rising, urban, educated, very ambitious, savvy, whip-smart middle class that is sure and putting up pressure to get more involved, to have more of a say in how the country is run.
As a visitor, and as a frequent visitor to China, I always think of the Shanghai taxi, which I'm sure many of you have been in the Shanghai taxi. For me, this is about the scariest experience in the world, as it slams from side to side, driving at 150 miles an hour, and no brakes. And I have often, in moments of terror, thought of the Chinese economy as much like this. And somehow the taxi has, always gets to its destination. Of course, occasionally it doesn't, but when I've been in it, it always has, thankfully. And this is the Chinese economy. There are these big corrections. It slams from side to side. They do take very decisive action. Normally it works. The thing about an authoritarian government, a dictatorship, if you will, is that it can make decisions very quickly. It can be very fleet of foot, but of course it can drive you into precisely the wrong direction